All right, everybody, it is the Combatcast Christmas edition. That's why we're the Working Fans Podcast. We ain't taking no damn days off here. And we're going to talk about everything, well, not Christmas, but MMA. Actually, we're just going to talk about a little bit of MMA because there's not a lot going on here. But hey, here's a segue for you, Chevy. Tell people what we don't have coming up.
All right, well, Working Fans Podcast, we will be taking some time off next week. We're off next week. There's not any fights going on. There hasn't been any fights going on, so we're going to take a little bit of a break. But we'll be back January 13th, UFC Fight Night, Ankalaev versus Johnny Walker 2. That first one ended in the blatant illegal knee by Ankalaev. So we're going to get a probable title eliminator fight there. And then January 20th, we'll be moving on to UFC 297, middleweight belt on the line, Strickland versus Duplessis. Looking forward to that one.
Yes.
So we got all that extra heat from the ringside brawl that happened the other day in the last pay-per-view. So
absolutely, yeah. Let's see what happens here. We got a Facebook user. What's up, guys? All right. So, hey, listen. We got some categories we're going to talk about today. Just some predictions. Probably not going to spend huge amount of time today. You know, there's not a lot going on, but we thought we'd have a little fun here, give you guys a show this week. So why don't we kick it off? We broke it up in male and female. 2024 Male Fighter of the Year prediction. Chevy, I will go first in this category today. I'm probably taking one of your favorite picks, Tom Aspinall. All right. I think just the fact, like you talked about it last time, you thought he was the fighter last year, short notice, coming back from injury, heavyweight, knocking out, Sergey, like very super impressive guy. I think this year, if he ends up getting that Joan fight, or whatever the case may be, he'll be the world heavyweight champion. I think Tom Aspinall is going to be a player. I do want to point out some other people here to look out for, because I'm not saying they're going to be the fight of the year, but a guy like Sean O'Malley, who already has buzz, if he continues to improve and he puts on a hell of a year and defends that title 2 or 3 times, he could be somebody that we're talking about at the end of the year. And this is going to surprise some people, and I no way am I saying that I'm betting on this, but same goes for a guy like Paddy Pimblett, who just beat Ferguson. If he can continue to get big wins and he ends up, let's say he does a tremendous big leap in his next fight, they're like, okay, we're going to finally risk the Paddy train. And Paddy comes up with a huge victory and shocks the world, right? And he's 1 or 2 fights away. You never know. I'm saying it's like these are guys to potentially look out for. But for me, I'm going with Tom Aspinall.
Yeah, I think Tom is a very good shout for that. I did go in a different direction after Shavkat's fight. I'm with Wonder Boy. I'm going to go with him for next year. I don't think that there's anyone in the division that really can pose a problem that he can't solve at this point. He showed in that Wonder Boy fight that if he needs to make it kind of a boring fight and just win on points, that he can do that. And, he was on his way to that before he latched onto Wonder Boy's neck and got that submission. But, I'm going to go with Shavkat. I think maybe Bilal gives him his toughest challenge, but probably KOs Bilal. And, we've talked about Leon on here. I don't rate him super highly, based on who he's beaten recently. But if he can beat Bilal, I'm all in on the Leon. But I think I'm going to go with Shavkat for sure.
All right, Cage Monkey letting us know Aspinall might be fighting Pereira. Hey, that would be a very interesting fight with a light heavyweight champion were to step up. Pereira's a special kind of athlete, and maybe a guy we should have both thought about and we could be talking about at the end of the year too. We will see.
He is huge, but I don't know if he's that big. Tom is a special athlete too. So,
well, before we go to the next guy, we'll throw this out there. As good as we both think Tom is, stylistically and size-wise, if there was a heavyweight at an elite level that Behera might match up with would be Tom's not a huge heavyweight, so it is an interesting stylistic fight. However, the quickness and just the well-roundedness of Aspinall would make me pick him all day. But
Yeah.
All right, that being said, let's jump into the next category, female fighter of the year. Chevy, I'll let you go first this time.
All right, so I've been saying Aaron Blanchfield for the last few years, but I am going to mix it up. I still think Aaron Blanchfield will be champ at flyweight. But I'm gonna go with Tatiana Suarez. Now that she's back, she's undefeated. Very good fight with her and Wei Lee in the future. I think this year, and I think it's possible she comes out on top. So I'm going to go with Tatiana.
All right. I am going to stick with the woman who lit up the flyweight division this year, Alexa Grasso. I think she's got great potential because I think the Valentina of old showed up in that rematch, and Grasso was every bit in there with her. I'm also going to say Weili Zhang. It's hard to not say that Weili, if like she could end up being a double champ. You never know. So, like, she's kind of in that mix too. All right. Merry Christmas to Joe, to Jake, and Cage Mike, who wants us to know Blanchfield Fiora are going to be a fun fight in Atlantic City in March. No doubt about that. Blanchfield is one to, as you said, female fighter of the year. Let's talk about our next category. 2024 fighter to look out for. All right. I threw a male and a female fighter down for this one too. Aaron Blanchfield, okay, because you've been on this train for a while and you've got me convinced. So I think she's one to watch out. And the person you said will be the fighter of the year, I actually did put to look out for Shavkat Rakhmonov because, hey, undefeated, and when you got almost as many KOs as you do subs and you can go either way, that makes you super dangerous. So I think Shavkat is definitely the fighter to look out for next year.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Bo Nickel. We haven't seen him against any top level opponents or anything, but what we have seen from him, I've been impressed with so far. His mostly in that second Contender Series fight, we know about his wrestling skills and everything, but his adjustments to jiu-jitsu, I think can make him incredibly, incredibly dangerous. I don't know about the striking yet. He knocked out some guy that probably mows lawns during the week that came off the couch in short notice. So we didn't learn that much there. But he is improving there for sure. So we'll see. But that's who I bet my money on for breakout fighter for next year.
All right. And Cage Marque says Almeida will be champ by end of the year. We shall see. He's a dangerous opponent for anybody, but we'll see.
Maybe in light heavyweight, I don't see him beating Tom Aspinall.
Yeah. But, all right. 2024 fights we are looking forward to. Chevy, what do you got? What are some fights you're looking forward to already?
I don't know if these are fights that are really going to happen, but these are the fights I want to see. Okay. That I think would be good for the UFC in particular. But combat sports in general. So I picked 3.
Okay.
So the first one I'm going with is Nate and Dustin. I want to see them UFC 300 for sure. There's been a little bit of back and forth. We haven't been able to get that fight done in the past. Poirier only wants big name fights. Nate's a big name. They're available, so let's see it. Another one, I don't think this will happen, but will John Jones sack up and fight Tom Aspinall? I don't think that would happen, but I would like to see it. Good final test for his legacy. Or more likely, good stepping stone for Tom Aspinall's legacy for sure. And then my final fight that I'd like to see, I don't know if you saw this, but Joseph Parker beat Deontay Wilder.
Yes. Yep.
This week. So I think that the Deontay and Francis fight may be going away a little bit. I'd like to see Ngannou and Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua was able to get the win in his fight this weekend, though. So, let's see Francis back in there against another boxer.
All right, my man. I love all that. I went a little different approach. I comment on some of the fights we have coming up. Now, Cage Mike Q, Leon would be a good one, obviously. And he's talking about one coming up. I had this listed too. Sterling versus Cater. And the reason why is because we're going to see Sterling's debut at featherweight. So this was just 2 fights I picked up on some of the upcoming events, like UFC 300. I picked that one. And strangely enough, I also picked Bo Nickal versus Cody Bundridge, because Bundridge isn't like this, top of the food chain as a UFC guy, but he is a guy who's got wins in the UFC. He's coming off a slam victory. And I think Cody Bundridge is going to be the first real legit opponent of Bo Nickal's career. And I am curious just to see how Bo Nickal handles this step up in competition, what he's going to look like here.
Yeah, that's a good shout out for sure.
And just a couple other ones, Sean O'Malley and Marlon Ver. I think that's going to be fireworks. I love the storyline. Kevin Holland, Michael Venom Page. I think that's a great fight for Michael Venom Page coming into UFC, because Holland will strike with you, but if he wants to get serious, he could take him down and do some jiu-jitsu. So that's an interesting matchup. And I'm going to throw one more before we get out of here on this subject. UFC 298, Whitaker versus Paulo Costa. This card in particular, 98. Jeff Neal versus Ian McGarry, because, again, this is another step up in competition for someone. And Volkanovski versus Topuria, because Topuria is always a guy, to me, it's very interesting, and he couldn't be fighting Volk at a better time than now.
For him, yeah. Bad for Volkanovski, yeah.
Sure. Absolutely. And, all right, Gaethje and Holloway are some fights, Cage Mike, you like to see. It's in the discussions. It's in the discussions. Okay, so that's interesting. I mean, sure, that would be a fight if that happens. I would love to see Justin Gaethje and Max Holloway, no doubt.
Yeah, I don't want to see that one.
I think your favorite, yeah. All right. Well, we got a couple bonus ones here that me and Chevy were talking about before. So here we go. We didn't even plan for this. Who is going to be the most hated in 2024? I'm going to go with some of the usual suspects here. I'll say Sean Strickland. It's got to be up there. Kobe Covington. And I don't know. What else? Who do you think here?
I'm definitely feeling a heel turn coming for Strickland. I know people have been in on his authenticity and all that, but it's just a matter of time before he says something that upsets a vast majority of people, and he's on the receiving end of a lot of blowback. But obviously Colby, if he sticks around, we don't know what's going on with him, but nobody likes that guy. I think those are probably the top 2 for sure.
No doubt.
Ian Gary can go either way at this point. Sure. His next, fight build up with this Jeff Neal thing. He already has some heat with him, so that could flip either way. We'll see. Connor, people don't like him if he ever decides to come back.
Paddy Pimblett.
Yeah, and Paddy, too. Paddy's got to step up his performance level to match his hype, which is, almost out of his, realm of possibility, but we'll see.
All right, here's an interesting one. Who is going to retire in 2024? Now, before we did this, me and Chevy looked at this and I said, okay, do we want to do these subjects? We said, yeah. And Chevy said to me, I know who I'd like to see retire in 2024. We have not discussed this. You didn't tell me what the answer was, but I think we agreed. So I'm just going to throw the name out there. The name I'm thinking is John Jones.
Yeah. I want John Jones to retire yesterday. I don't ever want to see him again. Be gone from the sport. I don't want to hear about him.
Yeah.
I would be ideal if he lost and then retired, but
I'll tell you one more. I think we're both going to agree on Tony Ferguson.
Tony needs to. Unfortunately, don't see that happening. Even if he gets cut from the UFC, he's going to be somewhere, I think. Yeah,
Cage Mike, you got Adesanya. I don't think Adesanya needs to retire. Oh, well, I mean, maybe some people don't like him, and I get that. But the guy, he's been one of the elite for a while. He recently started to struggle a little bit in some of those fights. But let's see him take some time off. And when he comes back with, I mean, he's a guy that could easily come back and win a title.
Yeah. I think he was just talking about how we're going to see him soon also. So,
all right. Well, there
not
you go.
taking as much time off as people believed. So,
all right. Is there anything you want to add? Anything else?
I love Wonder Boy, but we talked about this. I don't know what else is left for him. Maybe time for him to retire too. I don't want to see him start getting on some long slide, a la Tony Ferguson or BJ Penn or something like that. So maybe gracefully retire from the UFC and go murder people in karate combat for a couple years.
For sure. Even a bare knuckle might be interesting with Wonder Boy. I think karate combat.
Kicking is his whole thing, so he would have to do the Masvidal thing. But
yeah, interesting. All right, guys, that's our quick prediction show. We'll see you in a few weeks. Thanks for tuning in.